Lippert from BertaLippert.com if you're new to me. I'm a Mayo Clinic trained and certified wellness coach, and I specialize in helping people institute change in their lives so they can live happy and healthy lifestyles full of purpose and meaning. And today what I want to talk to you about is something that's absolutely critical for us to be able to live those lifestyles, and that is sleep. I was watching this roundtable this weekend with a bunch of medical professionals from Stanford. And Dr. Dhabhar is someone who is on the Psychiatry and Behavioral Science staff at Stanford. And he shared something about sleep that I wanted to kind of kick this off with you and share it with you too. Is he was saying that one of the most restorative factors that we have is sleep. More so than nutrition and more so than exercise, and how it just sets up our psychology and our physiology and everything else that we need to support, functioning at our best. And it makes sense because if you think of going days without proper nutrition, we can do that. If we went days without exercise, we can do that. But we can't go days on end without proper sleep. We don't function when we are sleep deprived. So I have a bunch of information I want to share with you on this because I know how critical it is, for us to living those lifestyles that we'd like to. So I'm going to break this up into two parts. And the first part I want to share with you some information from Harvard Medical School on the dangers of us not getting enough sleep. And in the second part, I'm going to share with you some information from Mayo Clinic on how it is we can go ahead and get good sleep. So let's get started. Okay, so let's get started on the first part. As I share with you, this is information from Harvard Medical School, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link below so that you can go get the original source, and there's even more information there if you'd like to learn more. And what I'm about to share with you is they let us know about 6 areas of our life that can be negatively affected by a lack of sleep. The first one was learning and memory. So how we actually learn and how we store things in memory, there's a process going on in our brain that allows that to happen. And when we don't have enough sleep, those areas are affected. What I thought was interesting about this first one they were talking about was they were sharing that not only that deep REM sleep, but also non-REM sleep. If either one of those are compromised, it negatively affects our learning and our memory. Number 2 they shared was metabolism and weight. Now I bet you've actually heard about this before because there's been plenty of research that's put out there linking, especially an increase in abdominal fat and an increase in weight from a lack of sleep. And this happens for a few reasons, whether it's the cortisol that's being released, that stress hormone, or the areas of the brain and stuff that are being affected, controlling our hunger. So there's definitely a link between a lack of sleep and our metabolism and weight. The third was safety. I'm actually intimately familiar with this one. I was asked to speak at an international conference on the dangers of sleep-deprived shift workers, especially shift workers that they have to alternate all different shifts that they're on throughout the month. And I shared at least, big examples that you probably heard of, 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and link behind those and the person behind those on shift work. And so this is something that, we have to be careful. And I don't even have to sell this on you because I'm sure you know too, you've heard lots of stories, unfortunately, of somebody falling asleep at the wheel and the dangers of driving while somebody's sleepy. So definitely our safety and the safety of those around us can be compromised if we don't have enough sleep. The fourth thing they talked about was our mood and quality of life. And I bet you can kind of relate to this one too because the irritability or really negative feelings that are associated with not getting enough sleep definitely affect our mood and the quality of life. When we're chronically sleep deprived, we're not being able to spend the time with our kids that we'd like to or have the energy to do the things that we'd like to do. So definitely a lack of sleep is linked to negative association between the mood and our quality of life. Now they also talked about number 5 about cardiovascular health. And if there's chronic sleep deprivation, sleep apnea, like insomnia, things like that, they've been linked to hypertension and some other negative effects. So we want to make sure that we know we're getting enough sleep because that can negatively affect our cardiovascular health, our heart health as well. And then the last one they talked about was our immune system. And I bet you're familiar with this one too. So our immune system can definitely be compromised if we're not getting enough sleep. And so our body isn't working the way that it should, and we're not able to fight off things that we might normally be able to fight off, and we get a better sleep. So those are 6 areas that can be negatively affected to us by not getting enough sleep. Our learning and our memory was number 1, and our metabolism and our weight was number 2. The safety of ourselves and those around us is number 3. 4th was our mood and our quality of life. 5th was our cardiovascular health, and 6th was our immune system. Okay, now for part 2. So part 2, we're going to cover 7 tips for better sleep from Mayo Clinic. Now, just like the first part, I'm going to put a link below that can get you access directly to Mayo's website for what I'm about to share and these 7 tips or even more information. So tip number 1 is to stick to a sleep schedule. Now, what this means is you're going to go to bed each night at the same time and you're going to get up each morning at the same time, even on your days off, you know, your holidays, your weekends, because what's important here is that you have a consistent sleep-wake cycle. Because if you're consistent with when you're sleeping and when you're waking up, that'll promote better sleep. So that's tip number 1, stick to a sleep schedule. Tip number 2 is to pay attention to what you're eating and drinking. Now, you don't want to go to bed at night with a really big meal that you're trying to digest, but you also don't want to go to bed at night hungry either. So pay attention to that. But also pay attention to alcohol use, caffeine use, nicotine use, anything that might disrupt your sleep later on as well. Tip number 3 is to create a routine. Now, what this means is you're going to pick an activity that you like to do just before bed each night, and that'll be a signal to your body that it's time to wind down, time for rest. So that could be something like a bath or a shower. It could be reading, meditating, any activity that you enjoy and to kind of wind down and prepare your body for rest. Number 4 is to get comfortable. Now, this has to do with the lighting in your room, the noise in your room, and the temperature of the room that you sleep in. So make sure it's not too cold or too warm, and that's disrupting your sleep. So make sure it's a nice, cool temperature. Make sure that there's no light sources that are coming in. Maybe even the notification from your cell phone or something like that could be causing disruptions in your sleep. And then sound can be a big one. So sometimes it's as easy as using earplugs, or I know people that have invested in white noise machines or just running a fan at night, whatever you can do to kind of cancel out noise that might be keeping you awake. That's number 4, get comfortable. Number 5 is to limit your naps. Now, what this means is if you happen to be taking a nap, Mayo recommends to keep that to mid-afternoon. And that's, of course, if you're not working shift work or something like that. But they also recommend that you limit it between 10 and 30 minutes so it doesn't disrupt your sleep later on that night. So limiting naps. The next one is exercise. So number 6 is exercise. If you engage in physical activity throughout the day, not only will it help you get to sleep faster at night, but it'll help you keep sleeping too. So definitely make sure that exercise becomes part of your regular routine. Now, the last one, number 7, is a big one, and that is to manage stress. So I know that if somebody is stressed, that they're going to be, maybe causing some anxiety at night, some worrying at night that is keeping you up and obviously disrupting your sleep. If this really gets to a point where it is disrupting your sleep regularly, just seek out some help for that. And there's lots of resources. I certainly have some resources on my website for managing stress. But if it gets to a point, again, where it's really disruptive, you can seek out professional help. And there's lots of great resources to be able to help manage that stress that you may be experiencing that is disrupting your sleep. So thank you so much for letting me share this with you. I know we threw a lot of information at you today, so just watch this video as often as you need to, and I really ask you to be committed to figuring out, use these 7 tips and keep experimenting until you find something that works for you to be able to get better sleep, because we know how important it is to your overall well-being. So thanks again for letting me share this with you. So one last thing before you go, if you're not already on my VIP list, make sure you head on over to birdavip.com. It's where I share exclusive content with my VIP members that I don't share anywhere else, and it's free. So just head on over to birdavip.com to sign up. Thank you again so much for letting me share this with you, and I will see you next time.